Previously, we have shown Angstrom Levy, who had the ability to go to another dimension. During a mind-gathering experiment, the machine explodes, due to which his entire physical appearance changes. After defeating the Lizard League, the Guardians got a new member, the Shapeshifter. Debbie was in a very bad condition and missing Nolan a lot. Then, on the planet Thraxa, Mark meets his father, Nolan Grayson, the Omni-Man. Nolan asks Mark for help in saving his Thraxan child and tells him that Viltrumite soldiers are coming to kill the child. The Viltrumites arrive and kill the half of the Thraxan citizens. Mark and Nolan defeat those Viltrumite soldiers, but later the Viltrumite general comes there and takes Nolan with him. Nolan, who was given the mission of making the Earth a part of Viltrum, now that mission is given to Mark. Let's see what happens next. Now onwards, after the Thraxan chaos, Andressa admits that her time is running out. There is no panic in her voice, only acceptance. Andressa tells Mark that she doesn't want her child to grow up in a world where he will lose his parents too early with visible pain. She asks Mark to take Oliver to Earth, believing that only there will her son have a future, safe, long and full of choices. This moment hits hard because it mirrors Debbie's pain in a different way. Once again, Mark is forced to carry the consequences of Nolan's actions. Mark finally brings Oliver back to Earth and introduces him to Debbie Grayson. This is one of the most emotionally loaded scenes. Debbie is still broken from Nolan's betrayal. Suddenly, she is asked to face another reminder of the man who destroyed her life. But Debbie surprises us. Instead of rejecting Oliver, she sees him for what he truly is, an innocent child who did not speak as to be born into chaos. She accepts him, not fully, not easily, but enough to show that Debbie is still stronger than her pain. Soon after, Mark meets Cecil, who already knows about Oliver. Cecil, being Cecil, doesn't see a child, he sees a potential threat. Cecil argues that Oliver is an alien hybrid and should be handed over to the GDA for observation and control. From his perspective, it's about Earth's safety. But Mark doesn't hesitate. He stands firm and says it clearly, he is my brother. This is a major turning point from Mark's character. He is no longer just reacting to the world, he is choosing who he is, even if that means standing against the most powerful man on Earth. After months, we see Mark finally reconnect with Amber. He opens up about everything, the Thraxan situation, Oliver, and the responsibility he now carries. And Amber listens, understands, and stays. Their relationship continues, but it's more mature now. Meanwhile, danger begins of Martians. When news breaks of a ship full of sequids piloted by the human host, body left behind from the astronaut Shape Smith had duplicated. The truth about the Shapeshifter is finally revealed. He tells all the Guardians and Cecil, I just wanted to get out of Mars somehow, so I knocked an astronaut who was going to Earth from Mars unconscious and took his place and came to Earth. And ever since I have came here, I have been doing good work. The Shapeshifter apologizes to everyone and tells the ship that is coming from Mars to Earth could be the same astronaut coming back to Earth, but now it will be under the control of the Sequids. The half of the Guardians are dispatched. The Immortal, Black Samson, Monster Girl, Rudy, Invincible, and Eve. Remaining Guardians, Rex, Ray, and Kate, stay to defend against any domestic threats. While the Guardians are busy off planet, Earth is attacked by the Lizard League. Rex explodes, shrinking Ray and Duplicate step up to stop them. The fight is brutal and shocking. Kate is brutally killed by Lizard Group when her final two clones are violently smashed together. Duplicate dies during the fight, making this one of the darkest losses for the team so far. Rex is shot by King Lizard, leaving fans thinking he is dead, but he survives. In a moment of rage and desperation, Rex kills King Lizard, crossing a line he can never undo. Back in space, the Martian mission spirals out of control. The Guardians approach the enormous ship piloted by the Sequids. However, as they get too close, their ship is destroyed and they are saved by Eve. Invincible orders the flying superheroes to advance toward the ship, while Eve faces them inside using a force field. The Sequids nearly wipe everyone out. Then Rudy, finds a way to escape this situation and Guardians manage to save the Martian astronaut. Now it's time for some massive revelation. Alan the alien wakes up after being left to die. We learn that the collision leader shut off the machine intentionally, allowing Alan to nearly die because surviving the process would make him stronger. And it works. Alan doesn't just survive, he evolves. He is now far stronger stronger than before. Even more shocking, it's revealed that his leader was also a Viltrumite, but unlike Nolan's people, he was a good one. During the mission, Adam, Eve and Rudy are suddenly controlled by the Sequids, turning two of Earth's smartest and strongest heroes into living weapons. As chaos breaks out inside the ship, Mark, Grayson and the Immortal rush in. Using Rudy's strategy, they manage to break the Sequid control, freeing Eve and Rudy. Then the whole team barely manages to escape. Back on Earth, the victory feels empty. The entire Guardians of the Globe are emotionally shattered after seeing Rex Explode's condition. He survived, but he is badly injured, physically and mentally too. The once loud, reckless Rex is now silent and broken, and drowning in guilt. Soon after, we witness the funeral of Duplicate. This is one of the most grounded and painful scenes of the season. No epic music, no speeches about heroism, just silence, grief, and regret. Later, Alan the alien meets Mark face to face again. Alan reveals the truth about his king. He tells that their leader is also a Viltrumite, but he is calm and against the Viltrum. He asks Mark the question that still haunts the universe: what happened to Nolan? Mark hesitates and tells Alan about the last conversation he had with Nolan on Thraxa. Nolan hinted at his ancient books that contain knowledge on how Viltrumites can be defeated. This is massive and there is real hope. Alan realizes how important Mark truly is to the future of the universe. Alan scans the book and leaves temporarily. Meanwhile, elsewhere in space, we see Nolan's fate. He is captured and imprisoned by a Viltrumite general. No mercy, no respect, only punishment. This scene confirms one thing: Nolan's betrayal of the Viltrumite Empire will not be forgiven. And if they are willing to imprison someone as powerful as Omni-Man, then Earth doesn't stand a chance when they finally arrive. Back on Earth, the rescued astronaut Russ Livingston returns home and cleans up his apartment, berating Shapeshifter for not only abandoning him on Mars but also wrecking his home. He rages upon seeing old Chinese food and throws up in his sink. Unfortunately, he notices something emerge from the liquid. A single Sequid from the spaceship from Mars once again attaches itself to him. Now he is again controlled by Sequid. In another universe, a four-armed tailor helps put on a suit for Angstrom. He now transports himself to various other universes and back to the current one, looking at the city and claiming he feels good to be home. But we know he is preparing to visit someone. Now Mark faces a problem: he can't punch his way out of college attendance. Because of his constant superhero duties, Mark has missed too many classes at Upstate University. That's when a familiar face returns. Mark's old high school principal, who is now the dean of Upstate University. Instead of yelling, the dean gives Mark a calm and brutal reality check. He lays out two choices: either Mark starts taking his education seriously, or he accepts that he can't live a normal student life anymore. Outside the classroom, Mark's personal life is collapsing. His superhero responsibilities keep pulling him away, and Amber is paying the price. Mark genuinely wants to be there for her, but the world keeps ending and Invincible keeps getting called. At home, Mark has a quiet but emotional conversation with Debbie. Mark gently asks her about Nolan and her first date. Debbie admits she's trying to move on, but it's complicated. Nolan did not just leave, he shattered her entire life. Debbie admits on our first date, Nolan had brought a whole tree instead of flower because he thought I would be happier with it. He did not know anything about Earth, and how could I not fall in love with him? After all, he was a superhero. Debbie says to Mark, although I don't want Nolan anymore, but nobody can take his place. Meanwhile, Rick Sheridan has physically recovered, but mentally he is broken. He is haunted by nightmares and terrifying visions of Sinclair and the experiments that turned him into a reaniman. Rick reaches a terrace of Upstate University and attempts to end his life, but at the last moment he is stopped by Donald Ferguson, Cecil's personal assistant. In a shocking and deeply emotional reveal, Donald tells Rick that life is too valuable, don't waste it. He reveals he has died many times too. Donald saves Rick, not just physically but emotionally too. Realizing what he is losing, Mark makes a rare decision. He takes a leave from superhero duties. No Invincible, no missions, no saving the world, just Amber. For a brief moment, things feel normal again. They spend time together, laugh, reconnect. It feels like Mark is finally choosing love over responsibility. But peace never lasts long in Invincible. Without warning, Anissa, a powerful Viltrumite warrior, arrives on Earth. She doesn't come to fight at first, she comes to talk. Anissa threatens ruins Amber's life, forcing Mark to listen. She tells Mark that she is here on behalf of Viltrumite General Krieg. Her mission is clear. She has come to remind Mark of the mission given to him. He must stop resisting and prepare Earth for Viltrumite rule. But then Mark refuses. He tells Anissa that Earth will never belong to the Viltrumites. And so the fight begins. The battle is brutal but painfully unbalanced. Anissa is more faster, stronger and far more experienced. Then Mark fights with everything he has, but it's not enough. He's defeated easily, left broken and humiliated. Still, Mark refuses to hand over his planet. Before leaving, Anissa delivers her final warning. Soon others will come, stronger than me. Be ready. After everything that's happened, Mark and Amber Bennett finally face the truth. Love isn't enough anymore. They are both exhausted, hurt and afraid. In a quiet, heartbreaking moment, they break up. No anger, no blame, just sadness. Two people who care about each other but live in different worlds. This is the one of the most saddest scene in whole series. Meanwhile, Angstrom Levy appears at Debbie's home, scared by his multiversal accident and filled with hatred. Angstrom's presence feels like a storm about to break. He doesn't attack, not yet, but his arrival signals that Mark's past mistakes are coming back to destroy his family. Elsewhere in space, Alan the alien encounters Anissa. A massive fight breaks out, showing just how powerful Alan has become. But Alan doesn't stop there. He intentionally allows himself to be taken onto a Viltrumite ship. This is not a mistake, it's a plan. Actually, he wants to find Nolan, once who known as Omni-Man, is imprisoned by the Viltrumites. He doesn't beg, he doesn't explain himself. Instead, Nolan does what he's always done best. He kills the guards and breaks free from prison. But later we get to know that it was a test by General Krieg. Back on Earth, Angstrom Levy returns to Mark's life like an open wound. This time, Angstrom doesn't hide his hatred. He reminds Mark of the failed experiment, the explosion, and the moment that destroyed his body and mind. Then he crosses the ultimate line. He threatens Debbie and Oliver. Mark snaps in rage. Mark attacks Angstrom, and then Angstrom throws Mark into a horrifying dinosaur-filled dimension where one dinosaur is about to eat Mark. Then Angstrom pulls him back into current dimension. Angstrom wants Mark to understand fear, but not to die. Mark apologizes. He tells Angstrom that he knows the truth, that on the night of experiment, Angstrom was actually trying to save Mark, not hurt him. The explosion was not cruelty, it was a tragedy. This confession shakes Angstrom, but it was not enough. Then we get to know the truth behind his madness. He is not angry at this Mark. Across the multiverse, Angstrom has seen countless versions of Mark Grayson, brutal tyrants who murdered millions and ruled worlds like God. Angstrom took all that rage, all that trauma and placed it on the Mark of this dimension. To him, Mark was guilty by existence. While Mark is trapped in another dimension, Debbie tries to defend Oliver and attacks on Angstrom. Then Angstrom hit her hardly and breaks her hand. Mark returns and sees his mother injured, his brother terrified. Then there is no hesitation left. Mark attacks on Angstrom. They fight across multiple dimensions. The battle is violent, chaotic and personal. And then what happens is more terrifying. Mark kills Angstrom Levy, not by accident, not in self-defense, but in rage. For the first time, Mark crosses the line his father once crossed. After killing Angstrom Levy, Mark realizes he's trapped in another dimension because he cannot open dimension portals. Just when all hope feels lost, Guardians of the Globe from another universe arrive and open a portal, pulling Mark back. Before he leaves, another dimension's Atom Eve confesses her love for him. She tells Mark, whatever you feel about Eve, just tell her, so she can move on. Mark returns home, physically safe, emotionally shattered, where Debbie is badly injured and Mark is drowning in guilty over killing Angstrom. He fears becoming Nolan. That's when Cecil steps in. Cecil looks Mark in the eye and tells him the one thing he needs to hear. You are not Nolan. Mark didn't kill to conquer, he killed to protect. And that difference matters. Later, Mark meets Atom Eve. He wants to confess his feelings. He wants to be honest, but the words would not come. Mark stays silent, afraid of hurting her, afraid of being vulnerable, afraid of himself, admitting that some battles are not won with strength. In the final moments of the season, Alan the alien finally meets Nolan. Alan tries to recruit him into the coalition of planets, believing Nolan can make a difference. But Nolan is already broken. He admits his shame, what he did to Earth, to humanity, to Debbie, Debbie to Mark, Nolan says he doesn't want redemption, he wants death. And then he admits the truth he's been avoiding. He is missing her wife, Debbie.